welcome everyone. We're excited today to do a joint podcast, a mayor's brief, but also a Twin County spotlight as well. So we're going to collaborate on this. This will be our second one. Actually, second with Bob and with Susan. Mm-hmm. We collaborated on the Constructing the Carolina podcast, which actually came out today. So this will be exciting. And again, it's all in the spirit of trying to educate people about what's going on in the area. Economic development wise, housing wise, infrastructure wise, and then policy wise, how we need to prepare as a region. So what I'm
really hearing is that you needed me to get to the hard questions.
Bingo. Yeah. Me and Bob and Susan have already been there, but we needed to bring you into the middle of it.
There you go.
So I'm going to introduce our guests.
Sure.
I'm also a guest here. My name is Benton Moss, the host of the Twin County podcast, Twin County Media Podcast, the TC Spotlight. I have Susan Phelps, who is a director of economic development for Nash County. We have Mayor Sandy Roberson, the mayor of Rocky Mount, and we have Bob Pike, who is the president and CEO of the Carolina Gateways Partnership. So I want to start off, and I'm going to give each one of you guys maybe we're going to do kind of a round robin, panel style discussion. If you will pick, a couple bullet points just to share with the audience that illustrates growth in our region or municipality, just to kind of kick things off and set the table. So Susan, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Well, I think we've talked about this a lot in some of our regional discussions, is the pivot and growth in the Twin Counties and the interest in the Twin Counties since COVID. And I guess maybe we just feel like we lived a whole life before COVID and then there's post-COVID. But we've really seen an increase in interest from industrial, commercial, and residential development throughout Nash County. And I mean, we are one of those halo counties to the Research Triangle region, and I think that says a lot about our opportunities in the future. And so those are what we're focusing on and really trying to recruit the types of industries that are going to provide our community and our citizens with good wages, good paying jobs, and have a long-term investment here in our community. So I'd say for us, we're trying to balance what that growth looks like and how it still melds within our communities.
Well, yeah, I think that's a great answer. And just to tag along with that, I think one of the issues that we're looking at is as we're trying to create this live, work, play environment, because we believe that the region is growing. Bob's doing a great job in his role. Nash County is doing a great job. We've all got these different economic teams, but those jobs mean very little if we're not creating that live, work, play environment. So I think Rocky Mount's very conscious of that and trying to figure out how do we build the infrastructure like additional sewer pump stations and water lines and electricity, and how do we put that into places that we are seeing growth and targeting growth. Particularly when we're seeing a lot of jobs coming to the area. But, we really need people living here to make that happen. So that's been something that we're seeing. We're looking, we've, seeing a population increase. We think since the last census, it's modest, 4,000. However, for us, that will change a 20-year trend in the other direction. So that and focusing on redevelopment in conjunction with how do we recruit jobs.
Yeah, I agree. When you look at, we moved back 2.5 years ago, there's a change that has gone on in that 5 years that we were gone after being here almost 40 years. There's a culture change, a renewed optimism. And I think, projects like Amazon, for example, we like to think we do a great job of selling and doing everything we can in terms of our talents and abilities, which obviously are very limited. But Amazon comes in and says, that's where I want to be. Natron comes in after 70 select sites. This is where we want to be. And others, Susan's got several of those projects as well. And that's the legacy that was been put into our region over really decades. When you think about the infrastructure, whether it's water, power, natural gas, even of course rail is the backbone of Rocky Mount over the decades. And you look at all that, we are prime. We are where people want to be. We say it's the region, and of course Rocky Mount's the center of all things. And it's a real opportunity to recruit industry, but also because it's somewhat of a clean slate, to do in a way that's responsible and sensitive to the culture and the history that's here already, but looking to the opportunities ahead of us.
So I want to drill down first maybe into the economic development space, and maybe Bob will start reverse with you, but talk about some of the major announcements that have happened, for the Carolina Gateway Partnership, and maybe Susan, you as well. We've had quite a few announcements just between the two of you guys in the last, even the last couple of weeks. But maybe talk about, number of jobs that we're seeing for the area, and then that's going to trickle down to some of the housing that that you just mentioned.
Yeah, starting off at the top is Natron. 2 years ago, like I was saying earlier, after 70 different looks all over the country, it was voted the number one announcement of a mega site. And that's the other thing. We still have that, even after Natron, the number one mega site in the number one state to do business. And then, they're struggling, rightfully so. It's been in the press about their finances, but we're super optimistic. Just learned today they got some of their certifications around the underwriter laboratory, which makes them in a position to meet a lot of their financial obligations, because now they can start delivering product out of their plant in Holland. In addition to that, of course, Amazon last mile facility that's completed. They haven't opened up yet. They anticipate probably Q1, Q2 of next year once they tool up inside over in Tarboro Commerce Center. North Carolina Railroad just purchased 143 acres up at the intermodal, and for probably the first time the energy's coming to that intermodal, and the potential is going to start developing with the relationship with Port of Savannah, Wilmington, and Moorhead, that will be able to really grow exponentially because of a major warehouse project that's coming on board up there. And then right here in town, the Rocky Mountain Industrial Village, the legacy and the foresight of the founders, or the leadership in our city, established the 55-acre section off at Tom Betts and Peel Road, where developers coming in. And we're hoping to have a groundbreaking October 9th. They've already saw, when you drive by, you see trees going down. Which Susan knows
moving.
that. That's
right.
always good.
I'd like to see that.
I give you a quick illustration. One of our councilmen called me and says, "Hey, saw them trees going down, and we got a friend of ours needs a 65,000 square foot warehouse, local business." So that, I tell people, I love home runs and grand slams, but man, these singles and doubles and triples. The one I'm really excited is taking a piece of property on Vance Street, the Trinity building, that was closed. Again, a company that came here understanding exactly what that building was, understanding some of the challenges and undisturbed part of our community, but they have done it in other places in the country, particularly in South LA. And they're going to come. They're here. I was by there Friday. They were pressure washing, cleaning that up. Really excited, Mr. Mayor. They found a gate to the community behind, where back in the day, that facility, people would walk to work.
Oh, wow.
And that's going to allow that community to walk to work. And Valencia Piping is the name of the company. They make fiberglass septic systems, and
that's really a redevelopment of sorts. That's very exciting.
And we're creating jobs too.
And we put we've got an option now, and we're going to start working on a park called Bullock South. We're going to brand it, and it's something we need to talk about, like we did Rocky Mountain Industrial Village. It's right on the rail. It's a rail serve site, a Duke readiness site that was put together 5 years ago. So put it all together, and all the great things that I'm sure you'll talk about Commons at Sunset.
Just to drill down into the Natron, the Natron announcement and where things are now currently. You and I talked about this. I think I sent you a text about the company that we helped find some space in RTP. They just raised $65 million. They're manufacturing rare earth magnets. First company to do, I think in the United States. Natron also is a national security interest type of business, and so I guess just to highlight, the way I look at it is I'm hopeful. You know, people can say what they want to say, but I'm hopeful that it will come to fruition because it's very much a needed national security.
Yeah, definitely.
Grid backup, you know, battery backup. Their technology is not going into EVs; it's going into, you know, battery backup. So
One of the really exciting things that they've indicated to us, they have a whole research team out at Sanford when all this technology came out of, is that one of their takeout or their purchase orders they just received, I don't know exactly the name of the defense contractor, but they want to put those very, very safe batteries on warships. And because, I'm not talking about electrical engineer stuff, I'm a chicken farmer by trade, but it's able to discharge quickly to handle swarms of drones with lasers. I mean, you think about the importance of what that's going to mean to us.
That's where
your point's
warfare's
well
going.
taken.
Yeah. Well, Susan, you guys have had a ton of announcements. I saw that you know, you have a new shell building going up. I think the Crump Group is expanding. GXP is expanding. So I'm not going to steal your thunder. Talk about what's going on in Nash County.
We've had pretty good luck with some of these new companies coming into our area from their supply chain. Like, that is what brought them here. They may have been purchasing products and shipping them. Like the Crump Group, they were shipping sweet potatoes to Canada. They said, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
We had a specialty food building come available, and they jumped on it, and it was great, good fit. And before they had even been operating a year, they were already turning dirt for an $85 million expansion. So that says a lot. That's food processing, specialty dog treats. And then over in Middlesex, we've been working hard the last 8 years, I'd say, even before my time, developing the Middlesex Corporate Center and building shell buildings there, getting users in them. We've got First Wave Innovations that moved in right at the beginning of COVID themselves.
What do they do?
They manufacture aseptic packaging for food products. So you could take produce waste. They have a patented microwave technology. Again, I won't get into the they're smarter people than me, but they've really grown, and they were a startup out of NC State. So again, one of those homegrown, had a presence in Raleigh, needed to expand, and we were just the perfect footprint for them. GXP has occupied the neighboring shell building that we constructed, and they're a life science logistics company. Looked here solely because of our proximity to RTP, and have plans to build 2 more buildings. So they're creating a campus. So we've had pretty good luck with these type of companies looking because of our proximity and availability of workforce. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a lot of our existing industries that have announced major expansions. We consider Crump obviously an existing industry now with theirs. Cummins continuing to be a community leader in what they're doing up there. LS Tractor, it says a lot when we can grow our own and continue to support those existing industries that call this area home. And we're kind of in the same boat as Bob and Rocky Mount in building out our infrastructure and our sites so that we can continue getting these announcements. The most recent shell building that we completed was in Nashville. That was a partnership with the town. Town owned the lot. We constructed the building, and a local company bought it. So Browsville Family Farms was looking at alternatives for what their operations required. And, you know, we didn't want to lose any jobs, certainly, but to be able to help a company grow and keep them in their home base says a lot. So we're excited to see them occupy that building. And in the front lot, we've got Build Labs, which you'll know soon enough. They're an interesting company out of New York and Germany, and they manufacture state-of-the-art homes and assemble on site. So really unique and innovative product, and extremely intelligent group to work with. Again, proximity was a driving factor in their decision. You never know what those key drivers are going to be, but I think that the Twin County region checks a lot of those boxes.
One thing that I guess a common thread that I want to draw through all these announcements is advanced manufacturing.
Right.
So how do we, I don't want to say ensure, that's too strong of a word, but how do we train the folks that are going to be working here and make sure as much as possible that they live here and they're trained here and they work here? And that might be maybe a good segue from a policy standpoint.
Sure.
Because all of these are advanced manufacturing jobs that'll be great, great paying jobs, and we want them to stay here, live, work, and play.
Right. So I'll just tag on to what's been said. You know, I've had this thing called re-recruit the keepers. So every business that I have owned, we tend to ignore that guy who's been with you for 20, 30 years.
Right.
But they're the backbone
Right.
of what you do. And so I've made a point to go out and talk to Pfizer and to Honeywell and to Cummings on a consistent basis just to ask those types of questions. What do you need? How can we make the environment here better for you to be able to expand? Because it's much easier for somebody who's got $1 billion plan on the ground
To put
to invest
couple
$85 million
$100 million. Yeah.
than it
Right.
is to find
To
somebody
bring
new
new, yep.
to bring in $85 million. And so what has come out of that, in fact, I met as recently as today with Pfizer this morning. And so, you know, I think they've got some exciting things. You know, they had a little bit of a setback with some of their investment in the GL1 drug injectables, but you know, I don't think we're going to be seeing any warn notices. I think we're going to be moving forward strong, and they've committed to Rocky Mountain. I'm very excited to see that. But one of the things that's come out of that is just that kind of point. What is the training? What you know, how do we coordinate that? Nash Community College, Edgecombe Community College have been great partners in developing those kinds of training programs for advanced manufacturing. But again, it starts even before then, you know, in trying to working with school systems where I try to touch with great frequency to find out what they need. How can we help Edgecombe County Schools and Nash County Schools develop kids who have opportunities in future, and they're not really looking at necessarily college. You can create a great career in a lot of these advanced manufacturing sites, and so that's exciting to see. But it all ties right into, none of that really matters though if we don't create that housing, we don't create that live, work, play environment, a place where people want to live. You know, it's the thing we're not been talking about that is QVC. It was unfortunate, the fire. We lost 860 jobs to the area. But of those 860 jobs, and I'm working off memory here, but only about 250, less than 300, actually lived in Nash and Edgecombe County. The rest commuted from somewhere else.
Right.
Which is great, sort of.
Well, yeah, it's a silver lining, or maybe
Right.
Leave the
not.
money and
Right.
go home.
That's exactly right.
No,
That's
we don't
exactly
want
right.
that.
So I want to talk about our commuter bus system that we just, the initiative that we've just secured funding for, maybe a little bit later, but it ties to that whole, how do you get people, how do you help Bob, how do you help Nash County go out whale hunting? You know, you got to have staff, you got to have employees to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You've got to have the educational system to do it, and you've got to have a catchment area that's believable. If we started right now, we could not build enough houses for what these guys are bringing in today.
So I know you're chomping at the bit to get to housing, and that's kind
Well,
of
I mean,
the last question.
Yeah.
So looking across, you know, Edgecombe, Nash, and even Wilson, you know, with Shot Pharma and J&J, I mean, what do we think? Like conservatively, 4,000 to 5,000 jobs between all of the, maybe even more,
2
right?
to 5 years, yeah.
Yeah, over the next, call it 3 to 5 years. So those are houses. Those are people that are working there. That's housing that needs to be built. How does our housing pipeline stack up currently?
One of the things, and I mentioned this about being a clean slate, in particular Edgecombe County and Nash County, and I like people. We want jobs, right? I like power because power brings projects, and whether it's electricity or natural gas. But I like potatoes, and what is that? We still need that rural culture that goes along with the beauty of the region. We got the great metropolitan area that's really, I think, is the potential of the complete renovation of downtown or East Rocky Mount as it moves back towards Kingsborough. But we've got opportunities to do some real head scratching. What do we want to be when we grow up, especially in the rural areas where we still may want to have live, work, and play, maybe pods.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I've told this to many
with
people. And I think I've mentioned this to you before. I'm going to tell you this too, because it'll probably, I would think, spread out from Raleigh a little faster than it may get to Edgecombe. But I want to see another Wendell Falls, just in Nash County or even in Edgecombe County, right? Like, we want to see some of these big, ambitious projects that do have the live, work, and play, but the commutability. So
I mean, look what the city did, the investment they made.
Right. So maybe that's a good starting point for housing,
so-
and then we can kind of branch off.
So the 336 project really it was, started out as that gaming project. We know that became a little bit controversial, but the real criticality of that is we had optioned 336 acres of land approximately for 15 years. And Alan Matthews has been out there shopping that thing for 25 years. In fact, he was the guy who really kind of came up with the concept. Give him credit where it's due. And for years, he looked like Don Quixote. He did, and people were kind of like,
good on him for keeping up.
God bless you, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
But, he knew that exit was going to be funded, and eventually now it's here. So now he looks like the smartest guy in the room, and I think he is.
Yeah.
But we thought we had found a developer to be able to go out there and create 2 high-rise towers, create 1,700 jobs with a median household, with a median income per employee of somewhere around $70,000, and that's big, and it was going to be mixed use from everything, bringing concerts into place, offices, retail, apartments, that kind of stuff. And as we know, that has not manifested itself because gaming's not legal in the state of North Carolina outside of a reservation. However, that site's still great, and I'm still getting lots and lots and lots and lots of calls. We have a good number of the acreage that's under option right now with some stuff that I think will be, well received within our community. And so, one of the internal conversations we're having is, do we just bite the bullet and maybe just develop it ourselves? Look, City of Rocky Mount, we can build roads, we can do sewer, we can do electricity, we can do everything that needs to be done from a development standpoint.
Site work.
Just
Make
get it pad ready.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
Should we do that in phases? Should we try to partner with somebody who wants to come in? And outside of gaming, I'm not seeing a whole lot of people that wanted to do that. It's really the reality of that piece and part. But we have a piece of land that I know that over the next 50 years, depending on how we develop it, will have impact not just on Rocky Mount, but in Nash County, even Edgecombe County for decades to go.
It's
Absolutely.
a gateway
it could be.
to Eastern North Carolina and to the city of Rocky Mount.
Absolutely. So we didn't really want to buy the land. I was going to add a little caveat, but the options had run out. Or getting ready to run out. We didn't think we could cobble them back together because at that point you've kind of displayed what the value could be.
Right.
So we bit the bullet and we bought it, and I'm glad we did. I think it's going to be a good thing, a good move for the city of Rocky Mount, for our region as a result of that. But it has brought up a number of other issues, like how do you populate it, how do you fund it, those types of things.
Yeah.
Well, again, another clean slate. Right?
That's right. No, exactly, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And how many 336 acre tracts do you really get your hands on that are that
Interstate
flat
frontage,
and on 2 major interstates, right?
That's right.
So,
90 million cars a year, right?
And I just want to make sure I heard you
right.
right. You said some of this is under option. At the
Yeah, it
moment.
is. We've had several folks who've come in. I think things will be well received in the area.
Okay.
And it's not like the old country farm, where you're developing the roadside and leaving the interior out. And we're doing this more purposefully than that. But I'm excited to have those partners out there.
Yeah. Well,
But I think that's what that's also showing is the demographic is changing, or the desirability of the area is changing. I think in part because of Raleigh moving east. I think in part because of the intersection of 64 and 95 seem to be Interstate 87. Things like the intermodal, we don't talk about that as much as we used to, but that's driving a lot of this advanced manufacturing interest. When I can have product to market in the Midwest literally the next day, fairly reasonably priced transportation. That's a big nut.
Yeah, I always say, Rocky Mount is the biggest competitive advantage. Unfortunately, we don't have an ocean. We're not on oceanfront property, but what we do have is the best location.
But do you want to be? Do you want to be today? I don't think so.
No. Maybe 50 million years from now. But but we have location on two major thoroughfares that go east to west, north to south.
That's right.
However many millions of cars.
That's right.
And so what are we going to take from that or put on to that will drive economic value?
That's right.
I'd be remiss if I didn't do the media thing. You got a timeline for when folks might learn a little bit more about what's going on out there?
Yeah, I think
I don't want to press you, but it's exciting. It's a big project.
And what I've learned in this and sitting on Bob's board is that No, I'm not going to.
Fair
I
enough.
want to. I want to. I
We have
want
to shoot you.
Fair enough.
That's
Fair
right.
enough. Fair
You don't have to shoot me, but I don't. I want to. But the thing is that it gets people all excited when it doesn't happen. It gets disappointed. But what I do
Understood.
know is that if it doesn't happen on this go round, it'll happen with somebody else in a very similar kind of capacity.
Sure.
So
It's just
Sure.
too obvious.
That's right.
When you look at the bookendness of Kingsborough, again,
Sure.
20 years of legacy
Sure.
that's gone on simultaneously with what's
Yeah.
done out here. You put those two together and all the great things that's going on in Nash County. And one of the things I mentioned about live, work, and play is that some of these mega projects on the mega site, they're recognizing. It's not
That's
just
right.
here. It's a people problem.
Mhm.
Your generation's not having enough babies. Shame on you. So,
It's not my problem.
It's not.
It's not your problem.
but,
He's doing his part. I
Yeah,
promise.
so we got to do things to come here. When I say we, industry has to bring people here, and how they do that is it's kind of the same way they did down at the mills, in the 1800s, because people couldn't have a car, or you know. So what did they do? They built mill houses. We're going to see similar when companies of the magnitude, and I'm not saying Natron's going to do this, but it's been discussed by
Right.
some of their funders
Yeah, workforce housing.
that we're going to bring funds to do workforce housing that meets your generation needs in those demographics, whether it's all rental managed, 700 units of mixed use.
Right.
And those things are really exciting. I mean, we had the opportunity to go down to Chatham County and listen to the project where the Disney folks are doing. Not that we need to have Disney here, by no
And
means.
Bubba Rawls, I think, is part of that project.
I think he is.
We got to get him down here in East County. He might. Yeah, we should.
Well, he's a Greenville boy. He's
Yeah, I
just down the
know.
road.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.